Greetings. This message is taken from the books of prophets of the Old Testament, specifically the prophet Daniel, who you know very well. The study is from chapter 7 of Daniel and has an interpretation. Here, Jehovah shows Daniel the 7 world empires, in which Satan operates with great intensity. Jehovah reveals the 7 world empires to us through the use of 4 wild beasts in Daniel. Those empires are the same 7 that John tells us about in Revelation. The 7th beast of John is the same as it is in the 4th beast of Daniel. You will know why this is so. This is the word of Jehovah. Find out and study this 7th empire, because you mainly need to know what will happen to it. Jehovah, deliver Israel from the attack of the last world empire. But before that, Israel, the last world empire, will loot her houses and many of her women will be raped. At that time half the people will be taken into captivity and many will flee from Jerusalem. Soon after this, in less than 45 days, the battle of Armageddon will take place at Jezreel. And there, they will be freed from the attack of the last world empire, when the Messiah, with the sword from his mouth, will defeat all the enemy forces, and will free the people from him again, from the attacks of Satan. Glory to Jehovah for that. Do not stop watching this video, it is very important. Watch it to the end. You will not lose anything, and if you have a lot to gain, Jehovah bless you. Now let's see the video of Daniel chapter 7 with interpretation. Daniel chapter 7. The revelation of the 7 satanic world empires, shown in the 4 beasts that Daniel saw, which also John describes in Revelation. In the first year of Belshazzar king of Babylon, this date places us in 556 BC, 30 years after the captivity of Jerusalem and Babylon. Daniel had a dream, and visions of his head while he was in his bed. These visions and dreams are of the type of closed vision, with the eyes closed. He wrote the dream, and related the main thing. This that he relates the main thing, means that there were many details that he saw, but he was able to relate the main thing. That is, he was able to write the fundamental and complete message of what God wanted to tell us. Daniel said, I was looking in my vision at night, and behold, the 4 winds of heaven were fighting in the great sea. These 4 winds of heaven fighting in the great sea means large-scale spiritual warfare. The forces of good and the forces of evil, fighting in the air, and 4 great beasts, different from one another, were coming up out of the sea. These 4 beasts represent 4 world empires reigning over the earth. To those that the enemy Satan gives him his power to destroy in all that he can, the work of God with men. And if it says that they came up from the sea, it indicates that they came with the forces of evil. The first was like a lion, which was like a lion, indicates his strength and great dominion, and he had the wings of an eagle, and that it had eagle wings, it indicates that it covered large areas of land. And also like the eagle, dominating with its sight, large portions of land. I was watching until her wings were ripped off. When her wings were ripped off, it means her dominance was taken away. And was lifted off the ground. When says, it was lifted off the ground, indicates that was prostrate on the ground. Indicating what happened to Nebuchadnezzar, when he exalted himself and was prostrated to the ground for not giving glory to God. It was then, at that moment, that he was given the heart of a beast, and he stood erect on his feet like a man, and the heart of a man was given to him. The original in Hebrew says, and he was raised from the earth, and on 2 feet as a man he stood tall, and the heart of a man was given. This is Nebuchadnezzar when he regains his position as a man, at the end of the term of his punishment, living as a beast in the field, where he did not have the heart of a man, because he was given the heart of a beast. This first lion-like beast refers to the Babylonian Empire of Nebuchadnezzar, and here is another second beast, similar to a bear. This second beast, similar to a bear, is another empire ruling over the earth. The one described as resembling a bear indicates his immense strength and firmness, which rose from one side more than the other, which indicates that it rose more from one side than the other, defines that a part of that kingdom was more powerful than the other part. This was the Medo-Persian Empire, where one of the 2 had more power and strength than the other. This was so, although they were united, and he had 3 ribs in his mouth between his teeth. The one that says that it had 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth indicates how ferocious it was, devouring its prey, as they did with the Babylonian Empire. They totally destroyed them and razed everything there. And it was said to him, "Get up, devour much meat," and this expression, "get up, devour much meat," it indicates that it was the will of God, who put in the heart of this empire, to invade and destroy the Babylonian Empire in a fierce and overwhelming way. After this I looked, and here is another beast, another empire dominating the world, similar to a leopard. That it says that it is similar to a leopard, is indicative that it is stealthy and that it conquers quickly and sign. With 4 bird wings on their backs, this beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given to him. That it says that it had 4 bird wings on its back, indicates that it moved rapidly, and that this beast also had 4 heads. It is indicative that 4 parts of it would form 4 kingdoms, with great dominance over the 4 points of the land. This was the empire of Greece, with Alexander the Great, who conquered large extensions of land. Alexander dies very young after his conquest without leaving successors, and the immediate leaders of him, making force between them to dominate the empire, end up forming 4 empires on the conquered lands. From these 4 regions, the Roman Empire eventually emerges as an empire in about year 27 BC. After this I looked at the visions of the night. Here, again they seem to be visions during the moments of rest at night, and here is the 4th beast. This 4th beast is the 7th that John speaks of in the Apocalypse. Notice that Daniel describes 4 beasts, the first as a lion, the second as a bear, the third as a leopard, and this one has 4 wings and 4 heads. In this third, each head represents an empire. These first 3 that Daniel mentions represent 6 empires, which dominate large territories on the earth. The 4th of Daniel is the 7th of which we are told in Revelation. The one that is to be formed in these last days of our era, hideous and terrible and very strong, which had large iron teeth, it devoured and crumbled, and the leftovers trampled with its feet, and it was very different from all the beasts that I saw before it. This one is presented as a hideous empire, terrible and extremely strong, with large iron teeth, devouring and destroying and crushing all that was left with his feet. This will be so because the resources it will have, the technological systems and the resources of weapons are so powerful that they will allow it to act in such a way, in a terrible way, upon the entire human race, as has never happened before in the history of mankind. And it had 10 horns. These 10 horns are 10 powers. They are 10 powerful nations, which will unite and organize themselves in the form of a council, to establish a last world empire in these final days of our era. While I was contemplating the horns, behold, another little horn came out between them. This little horn is the being, the Antichrist-type man, possessed by Satan, who will rise as the maximum leader of the entire world empire of the last days, and before him 3 horns were removed from the original 10. There will come a time when 3 leaders of 3 of the 10 nations that make up the council of the world empire will make opposition to the empire. But Satan, and his great dominance of the world empire, will confront and eliminate them from the world empire system. And behold, this horn had eyes like a man. It had eyes like a man, because there will be a man who will be possessed by Satan as the maximum leader of this world empire, and a mouth that spoke great things, and a mouth that spoke great things, because it will blaspheme God's name with intense fury. I watched until thrones were set up, and an Ancient of Days sat down, whose dress was white as snow, and the hair on his head was like clean wool. His throne flames with fire, and his wheels blazing fire. A river of fire flowed and went out from before him. Thousands of thousands served him, and millions of millions attended before him. The judge sat down, and the books were opened. These verses 9 and 10 tell us about what John describes to us in Revelation 20:12, where he says, "And I saw the dead, great and small, standing before God, and the books were opened, and another book was open, which is the book of life, and the dead were judged by the things that were written in the books, according to their works, which is the judgment before the great white throne, where sinful souls will be judged according to their works." I then looked because of the sound of the great words that the horn spoke. These great words are the intense blasphemies and devastating orders uttered by the man possessed by Satan, the ultimate leader of the world empire. He watched until the beast was killed, and his body was smashed and handed over to be burned in the fire. The beast is a being of the diabolical trinity, called the beast, who directs the government of the world empire. The Apocalypse tells us that also the false prophet, another of the diabolical trinity, was thrown alive into the lake of fire that burns with sulfur. They had also taken their dominion from the other beasts, but their lives had been prolonged until a certain time. When he says that their dominion had been taken from the other beasts, and that his life was prolonged until a certain time, he refers to Satan and a certain group of demons of lower hierarchy than those of the diabolical trinity. This refers to the fact that they locked up Satan for 1,000 years, and after the 1,000 years, he would be released again for a short time. The other two components of the diabolical trinity, the beast, who directed the governmental area, and the false prophet, who directed the spiritual area, had been thrown alive into the lake of fire and brimstone. Of these two, in Revelation, it is not mentioned that they were later released. I was looking in the vision of the night, and behold, with the clouds of heaven, one like a son of man came, who came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. This is Jesus Christ, who is directed to come before his Father, and he was given dominion, glory, and kingdom, so that all peoples, nations, and languages might serve him. His dominion is an eternal dominion, which will never pass away, and his kingdom, one that will not be destroyed. Here is formalized the delivery to Jesus Christ of the dominion, the glory, and the kingdom. This is for all peoples and nations to serve them in eternal dominion without being destroyed. Daniel, my spirit was troubled in the midst of my body, and the visions in my head amazed me. This is a real living vision in the spirit. It is more real than any experience in natural life. Imagine how Daniel felt after seeing all those beings of darkness in those terrible bodies. I approached one of those attending and asked him the truth about all this. And he spoke to me, and he made me know the interpretation of things. These 4 great beasts are 4 kings who will rise on earth. It says, 4 great beasts are 4 kings. Remember that the third, Greece, had 4 heads. This third has evolution of kingdoms, transforming first into 4 kingdoms and then, with the denouement, where the Roman Empire is formed in about year 27 BC. All the beasts that Daniel mentions are 7 empires. First the Babylonian Empire, second the Medo-Persian Empire, third Greece, which are 4 empires, and the fourth is the world empire of the 10 kingdoms of the last days, for 7 in total. Afterward the saints of the Most High will receive the kingdom, and they will possess the kingdom to the age, forever and ever. After the manifestation of these world empires, when they are defeated, God's people will reign eternally with God. Then I wanted to know the truth about the 4th beast, which was so different from all the others, terrifying in a great way, that it had teeth of iron and nails of bronze, that it devoured and crumbled, and trampled the leftovers with its feet, also about the 10 horns that he had on his head, and the other that had come out, before which 3 had fallen, and this same horn had eyes, and a mouth that spoke great things, and seemed larger than his companions. And I saw that this horn made war against the saints, and conquered them. This horn is the being, the man possessed by Satan, the so-called dragon by John in the Apocalypse. That he will use all his might of the last world empire to persecute, attack, and kill the servants of God over all the earth in the last days of our era, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came, and the saints received the kingdom. But the time will come when God with Jesus Christ will confront the enemy and sentence him to be eternally in the lake of fire that burns with brimstone, and will give the kingdom to his holy people. He said thus, the 4th beast will be a 4th kingdom on earth, which will be different from all other kingdoms, and it will devour, thresh, and tear the entire earth. This 4th beast is the same 7th of John in Revelation. It is to be formed in the last days of our era. It is presented as an empire never seen before, frightening, terrible, and extremely strong, with iron teeth and devouring everything at his feet, with highly powerful technological systems and weapons resources. And the 10 horns mean that 10 kings will rise from that kingdom. After them another will rise up, different from the first, and will overthrow 3 kings. These 10 horns are 10 powers, 10 kings, or presidents, or prime ministers, or top leaders, in those 10 mighty nations. These nations will unite to establish the world empire of the last days. The other one to rise up is the Antichrist-type being, a man possessed by Satan, serving as the ultimate leader of the world empire, and will eliminate 3 of the first 10 kings. And he will speak words against the Most High. He will speak blaspheming the Almighty God, and he will crush the saints of the Most High, he will persecute and kill God's people on earth, and he will think about changing times and the law, and they will be delivered into his hand until a time, and times, and half a time, this is for 3.5 years, but the judge will sit, and they will take away his dominion so that he may be destroyed and ruined to the end. This is the end that awaits Satan, ruined to the end, in the lake of fire that burns with brimstone. And that the kingdom, and the dominion and the majesty of the kingdoms under all heaven, be given to the saints people of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all the dominions will serve and obey him. Here was the end of his words. As for me, Daniel, my thoughts disturbed me and my face was changed. Imagine how Daniel turned out after all these visions he saw, but I kept the matter in my heart,